Now then, how you doing? I hope you're well. This is a short, quick look at river reflections with a couple of tips on how to improve their look within a watercolour, whilst also keeping things relatively simple. I've come back to Great Langdale Beck in the Lake District to bring you a couple of quick tips about painting reflections. Well, let's start by grabbing a suitable scene. The reflections here are quite extraordinary, almost mirror-like, but I think I like this one better. I've mixed up a light Prussian blue and I'm now carefully painting in that sky area. I'm applying paint to dry paper. This isn't a wet in wet wash, so the brush strokes I'm laying down are hard edged and retain their shape. Now, I should say at the outset that there are alternative ways of doing this. I'm simply applying paint to an area within the scene that I know is going to remain quite light in tone. Another way of approaching it would be to apply masking fluid to the same area to protect it. And personally, I prefer doing it this way, which always feels more spontaneous, but I know lots of folks feel more comfortable knowing that their highlights are protected. While it's all still damp, I'm now going to lift out the rocks with a folded up piece of tissue. At which point you may be thinking that this could all have been done far easier with masking fluid, but if you look carefully you'll see that by easing off on the pressure with the tissue I'm able to graduate the highlights, which is something you can't do with masking fluid. So just a couple of important points to mention. Firstly, clearly this can only happen if you work quickly enough with the wash so that it's still sufficiently damp. If you allow it to dry off, then unfortunately the window of opportunity will be gone. Secondly, depending upon how damp the wash is, you may find that the paints from the wash starts to creep back in, which means you'll need to keep re-lifting it out to create as clean an edge as possible. Having established my background, I'm now working my way downwards into the water. Well, there are two significant things happening as I do this. Firstly, I'm graduating the wash a little as I progress downwards by dipping my brush into the clean water as I go and making it appear gradually lighter. Secondly, I'm painting around the reflections of the rocks. This means that the reflections retain the colour of the initial wash. Rivers and streams are not mirrors. For one thing, they will move slightly even in still water and create minor distortions, but the water will also have what is often referred to as local colour due to the presence of sediment in the river or stream. In the end, painting water and reflections like this largely boils down to definition and the question of how far we're prepared to go with the details. Well, I'm going to nail my colours to the mast here and say that I mostly aim to try and convey my message in as few brushstrokes as I feel I can get away with. But as far as the reflection of the large rock that I'm currently working on is concerned, a dark tone along the outer edge of the shape, softened off to reduce its complexity and blend it into its surroundings, is generally sufficient. The brush marks serve two purposes. One is to establish the reflections of the rocks, while the other is to suggest physical movement in the water and gentle ripples. It's worth remembering that if water becomes any more ruffled than this, then the surface would be dominated by visible ripple details and show fewer mirror-like reflections. The choice of which brushstrokes to soften off and which to leave hard-edged is entirely a personal one. It's something that I do quite a lot of, and whether that's a good or bad thing is open for debate. My general thought is that too many hard edges can result in a painting looking too cartoon-like, but it also comes down to a style choice. It is important for every artist to find what works for them. Part of the journey for each of us is in discovering how we paint. I think it's fair to say that every artist's journey is unique. One of the hardest things we have to do in watercolour, in my opinion, is to generate the random element. Creating repetitive patterns is a perilously easy trap to fall into. If our rocks are to look believable, they mustn't look like clones of each other. We should also avoid anything that looks too angular or geometric, otherwise it's going to look like someone's dropped a bunch of breeze blocks in the river. Distribution is also an important factor. Each of our rocks should preferably look unique, but the spacing between them should be random too. If they are too equally spaced apart, then they'll look like someone has carefully placed them there. Well, short and sweet as it was, I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully it may even help you with your own reflections. Please do hit the like button if you enjoyed it. I should just add that this has been a small extract from a much longer version. As always, if you're interested in viewing the full-length, uncut, non-time-lapsed tutorial, then you might like to consider becoming a studio member of my YouTube channel, which is absolutely bursting with exclusive premium content, all for you to devour and enjoy. To subscribe, just hit that join button. There are other sign-up options also available, such as my online tuition service. So if you're interested, you'll find full details in the video description below. And that's that. Until next time, take care.